Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Please, please. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. I was just doing the Bill Maher show. And I.
Good panel tonight.
Oh yeah, it's already aired here. That's right.
Yeah.
My whole time thing is off.
How come you didn't plug this?
I didn't. I say I was coming over here. Security reasons, always. No, seriously, I have all these things I don't even want to tell you about. I always have to worry about that I can't reveal too much ahead in advance of where I'm going to be because the crazies are crazy and you know, they have guns. So there was that statistic in the Washington Post a couple weeks ago. It was like both optimistic and really scary. It said that we have over 300 million guns in our homes in America. Half of those guns, though, are owned by only 3% of the population. 3% own half the guns. But then you start to go, whoa, that's like 9 million people own 150 million guns. What the fuck? That's like, and then Trump is like trying to stir them up, like if he loses, they're to somehow have some kind of revolution or whatever it is that he's encouraging. But you saw the news about Hillary and everything before you came here, right?
No.
All the
Non-story.
Yeah, the non-story story. Yeah, but boy, they're gonna go. They'll do whatever they can with this, I'm sure. How she's somehow connected to Anthony Weiner. Right? It's just like the craziest thing. It'd be like, it's, you know, whenever I meet some like African Americans that are like, if their last name is Moore, I always feel like look, my people came from Ireland to Canada, then into Michigan. It had nothing to do with any of this. And you know, like you want to kind of clear that up, but it's that sort of thing. It's like, what does she have to do with Anthony Weiner? You know, and why is it that she's always having to pay some price for these guys that are either in or tangentially in her life? It's just so weird. Anyways, so we did the show, and then I went out because Bill and I are up to something, basically. I think he already let the cat out of the bag the last time I was on. I can't remember. But we're gonna do a comedy. You remember the Kings of Comedy? Remember that?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the Kings of Atheism, and it's gonna be like a stand-up tour of comedians who are atheists or agnostic, and all through the Bible Belt. We're going to take a bus. I'm not one of the comedians. I'm just going to direct it. So anyways. Okay, so who's got a question? I'd be happy to answer any questions. Or yes, sir. And don't tell me your last name is Moore. You missed it. Go ahead.
Namaste. You are absolutely fucking brilliant. And why the hell is this film not at the ArcLight?
Whoa, what's wrong with the Laemmle? Hey, wait a minute.
Hey haters. Nothing's wrong with the Laemmle, but so many more people need to see this.
They are seeing it. Let me tell you the good news with this, okay? Please understand how what it is you just saw. I filmed that 3 weeks ago tonight.
Wow.
This film was made in 12 days.
Wow.
That's filming, editing. Technicolor in New York gave me their facilities for free. So the whole post, editing, sound mix, color, all donated for political reasons by the people who own Technicolor to support this election thing. And I had a lot of people join in and help me on this. All the unions, everybody worked for scale. It was very, it was really quite. But I threw this together very quickly. I've never filmed me performing a one-man show before. This was something way out of my wheelhouse, and So we finished it. We finished it a week ago, this past Monday. We did the sound mix, and I said to Carl and Megan, producers, and I said, "Yeah, this turned out okay. I really don't mind looking at myself for 75 minutes, which, right? Who wants to look? Anybody in here want to look at yourself blown up 30 feet for 75 minutes? Anybody, please? Do you feel my pain? Seriously? Okay. So, but I felt really good about it. Why don't we call up the IFC, which is the art house in the Village there in New York, and see if we can do a premiere tomorrow night. I called them up, and they said, absolutely, we'll give the theater for free. Do the premiere for free. Wow. So the next night we have this big premiere there, and I just put out on Twitter, hey, if you want to come, it's at 9:30 tonight. See what this is the latest thing I've done. At 3:30, the line started. By 7 o'clock, there were 2,000 people in line for 200 tickets. It was crazy on 6th Avenue, and word got out about that to other art houses, and so the next day, IFC said, well, we did this a week's run. And I called up Mr. Laemmle here in LA to see if we could do a week here. And so he only had one screen available. That was at Encino, which, when you're not from here and you just hear your film's going to be playing in Encino. And I mean, no disrespect. It might be a really wonderful little town, like one of those little Back to the Future type towns, or I don't know, but it just sounds horrible if you're not from here. Like it's the town that didn't make it into that Tom Petty song, which is Reseda, right? Yeah, it's like he's had a couple joints and he's trying to go, should it be Encino or Reseda? And then Reseda becomes the famous town. So Mr. Laemmle said, yes, we'll do it. Just like that. Like the next day, we were at the Laemmle Encino. That night, on Wednesday night, they called me from the IFC to say, okay, you're not going to believe this, but you've just broken the all-time record for an opening day box office for this theater, for films that have opened on a Wednesday, in the history of this theater. And of the 5 screens at Encino, we were the #1 grossing in Encino for those 5 screens. And I'm like, there's not a single ad. There's no trailer. There's no poster. There's no distributor. I was just going to put this up on the internet. There's nothing. And all of a sudden, we had this record, and other theaters around the country heard that. So starting tonight, we opened in 40 cities around the country, a number of them in swing states. And still no distributor. I mean, I'm just sending these DCPs out to the theaters, and then we got it to iTunes last Thursday. They looked at it, and they said, we'll put it up in here, this is what we'll do to help out. People can buy this film at the rental price. So instead of $14, it's $4. And they put it up at 3 o'clock last Friday. By 7 p.m., we were #1 on iTunes of everything. On iTunes. We stayed #1 through the weekend until The Walking Dead premiered. Which I kind of like, right? Only The Walking Dead could beat The Living Dead. So Walking Dead was #1 like on Monday and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, Donald Trump Jr., Don the son, tweeted out that people should watch this movie. And MichaelMoore agrees with us. And they took the clip from my piece at the desk there talking about the Trump voter, and they ended it at, and it will feel good. The next line, of course, is, for a day. Then you're going to realize you've been fucked. But they cut it off. Anyways, that video went viral on conservative and right-wing sites. It's combined had over 30 million views in the last 72 hours. iTunes calls me yesterday and goes, we don't, listen, we're like selling 10,000 of these an hour. Like, what's going on? I said, oh my God, all these right-wingers are buying the movie, thinking it's a pro-Trump movie. And then Trump, at 10:32 yesterday morning, Trump tweets out, "Thank you, Michael Moore." And I'm like, fuck. He likes it because his name is in the title, so he thinks it must be good. If the brand is up there, it's got to be good. And so it was just, I went on Megyn Kelly last night on Fox just because, I'm like, I went to Catholic schools and my conscience was bothering me. So I went on Fox last night at 9 o'clock and told the right wing, I can't take your money anymore. I've been letting you believe for the last 2 days that this is pro-Trump. It's not. It's a love poem to Hillary Clinton. So I said to Megyn, I don't know how I give people's money back. She says, just give it to me and I'll give them the money back. So anyways, that's the crazy journey from this week. And my point, to answer your question, is by Election Day, I'm convinced now, we've already have offers from TV networks. Millions of people are going to see this. And especially the audience of the non-voters and the third-party voters and my fellow Bernie voters who are still bummed, that I think this is going to have a tremendous effect. And what we witnessed today, as you can see, is that the monster, the beast, is not dead, and it feeds off all this crap. And I live in Michigan, so I take it very seriously. The possibility that Trump could still win, and I don't know if you probably don't feel that here. You're probably in a bit of a bubble here.
No, we feel it.
We feel it.
You do feel it, right?
That it's a bubble.
You know that I'll be on the wall past Interstate 5 are the White Walkers, and, or the Walking Dead if you can only afford basic cable. But between Interstate 5 and the Hudson River is where the election will be decided. So I'm working day and night. I came out to do Bill's show and talk to you, and then I'm on an early morning plane back east to keep hitting the Brexit states where I think this will be decided. Who's got the next question? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Moore, thank you. Absolutely amazing. Have you had the pleasure of any Trump voters afterwards or since then telling you that you convinced them or they're changing their mind or learning anything? Love to hear some conversations.
Sure. We actually interview people coming into the theater and leaving. So I have a good indication. I know what's what. About 800 seats in that theater, 400 of the people there were for Hillary, easily. 100 to 150 were leaning toward Trump. 100 to 150 had decided not to vote. And less than 100 were going to vote third party. At the end of it, many of the third party voters and non-voters told us that they were going to vote for Hillary. Yay. And some of the Trump voters, let's say they weren't necessarily convinced to vote for Hillary. They can't stand her. So they may not vote after seeing this, or they may vote third party, which is fine. That works for us too. But I also, because I want to depress what's called depressing the vote, I want to depress the Trump vote. They may still vote for Trump, but their excitement level goes down and they don't bring 10 people with them. So, yes sir, right here.
I thought it was interesting and a pleasant surprise that it was less of an attack on Trump than a love letter to Hillary. And how much of a conscious decision was that, and did you have to edit yourself out from really taking shots at some of the nonsense?
Yes, it was a conscious decision to not bore you with 2 hours of Trump bashing. What more could I add to the oeuvre of Trump has already done it himself. He's completely been transparent about who he is, his attitudes toward women, all that. What could I add to that? It would be like shooting fish in a barrel if I just made a documentary. Look at Trump, exposing Trump. What's there to expose? What's left? So I thought, what if I did the unexpected, which is, as a Bernie voter, as somebody who's never voted for Hillary, as someone who has a lot of disagreements with her, What if I gave the reasons why I'm going to vote for her and try to bring some people along with me, and not have it be about him, but have it be about her? So much of the Clinton campaign is about making you afraid of Trump. That's a risky strategy to motivate people from fear and hate. I'd rather motivate them through love of her. And I'm an unlikely messenger for that particular message. So cinema-wise, it makes it a more interesting film. If I were just in the audience watching this, I like being pleasantly surprised when I go expecting something, and it turns out to be something else, not the same old. Oh, that's another Michael Moore going after this, and that, and it's this. So I thank you for saying that. It means a lot to me as a filmmaker that you had that response. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Moore, who do you think would be worse, Trump or Pence?
Who do I think would be worse, Trump or Pence? I thought you were going to say Mussolini or Hitler. Because I've often thought about that. We would have to go with Mussolini, right? What should be worse, wow, Trump or Pence? God, honestly, you could make the case that Pence would be worse. Because he is a true believer in his insanity. Whereas Trump is just conning all those Republicans and conservatives with bullshit. I lived between Michigan and New York over the last 20 years. I know Trump. I've been at Planned Parenthood fundraisers with Trump. Trump is very liberal in a lot of his beliefs. He's bullshitted them. He was on the Christian Broadcasting Network yesterday. They asked him about what he prays about, and it's just such bullshit. I can't believe that Christians don't see that. But
2 Corinthians.
Two
Going into
Corinthians walk into a bar.
Walk into-
Right. Yes, ma'am, with the black.
Hi, thank you so much. This was just awesome. We actually were watching Bill Maher tonight, and he went on Google, and we just saw, oh my God, it's playing at 9:50, and he's coming to speak. So here we are, and we're so happy that we came. I was just curious because the timing, especially with everything that's happened and come about today, the timing for me personally is imperative, and it's perfect timing. When did you actually decide that you were going to do this?
I decided to do something. I didn't know what it was going to be. My first idea was to do a TV special. But it was after the Democratic Convention, so it was in August. And I was really upset at the victory dance that the Hillary supporters were doing. They started relaxing and feeling, because it was a great convention. Then she started winning the debates. Then the polls got better. And everybody, right, if you're a Hillary voter, everybody's kind of, oh God, thank God he's not going to win. Oh God, look, and every time everybody relaxed their shoulders, I thought, well, what's the thing in Wonderful Life when the angels wings the bell? Every time somebody was like, oh, thank God, that was one step closer for Trump entering the White House. Every time a Hillary voter relaxed. And so I made it mainly because I was worried about that end zone dance happening on the second-yard line. And we know what happens to those players that start doing that. They get tackled. And I know the country I live in, it's a crazy friggin' country. And anything can happen, anything. Hillary was ahead of Bernie 8 to 20 points, depending on what poll you read, on the day of the Michigan primary back in March. 8 to 20 points ahead of Bernie. 12 hours later, she lost. How'd she lose? She was ahead so far. I don't believe these polls. Reagan got elected twice. Nixon got elected twice. Bush got elected 1.5 times. This is a country that sent a professional wrestler in Minnesota. Gave him the governor. That's a smart state, by the way, right? You agree? Minnesota's not a dumb state.
We got the Terminator.
And California, you right. You elected, let's not call them the Terminator, because those first two are just two of the best films of all time. You elected Conan the Barbarian. And as I said on Bill Maher, you're a perfect example of what happens when the Democrats finally get control of the executive and the legislative branch. This whole thing about Obamacare, it's your rates if they go up, are only going to go up 5%, not 25 or 40%, because your Democrats in Sacramento have put serious restrictions on the insurance companies, so they can't fuck with you as much here. So, but I mean, this is a weird state, as you know. It's the state that's gonna legalize marijuana by a 2-to-1 margin, and it's the state that gave us Nixon. So, yes, who's next?
Environmental.
Yes.
Thank you for all your honest work and everything you do, but what was the makeup of the audience and how well did they receive it at the end?
Makeup, would you say the makeup of the audience? What do
Of
you
the
mean?
audience in the show?
In what way? What
I
makeup?
mean,
Men, women?
no, some of those people look pretty somber, some of them look.
No, like I said, half of them were Hillary supporters.
Mhm. How did they receive it after?
Hillary supporters?
No, the entire group.
Well, you could see,
I know.
as it went on, the people that were like this at the beginning loosened up.
Yeah.
Because humor will do that. And I wasn't going to attack them for voting for Trump. They're not the problem. He's the problem. They're being misled. And so I have empathy for them on that level. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Moore, from Royal Oak, Michigan, filmmaker. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
How do you feel about what's going on in North Dakota right now?
Oh, it's awful.
Next movie.
Yeah, I know I need like 3 clones. You know, it's really, well, I hope everybody stands their ground. I hope people support them, and I wish Obama was everything I wish he would be.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to miss him. He's been a great president, best president we've had in our lifetime. But some things he's not as good on. I wish you were. Where did you go to high school in Royal Oak?
Berkeley High.
Berkeley High.
Yeah,
Oh.
across the street.
So Tom Hayden passed away this week
I know, that's
from Royal Oak, Michigan. All right.
a loss.
Yes, who's next? Yes, sir. Yes, you.
First of all, I want to say thank you for all the work that you've done. I'm a big admirer of all your films. It seems that every film that you've made has a very profound impact on the history of my life. Fahrenheit 9/11, and when that occurred, I'm originally from New York, and I moved to Florida when that occurred, and I had this yearning to go back, and I couldn't because my whole family had moved down to Florida. Anyway, my question to you is this. You say in the movie, and I don't know if I can challenge you to maybe think otherwise, because I see what you hold against Hillary Clinton for voting for the Iraq War is something that you hold against her, and that's something that Donald Trump uses as well.
Yeah.
And I remember as a New Yorker living in Florida, and I wanted to rush back to New York and like give myself to, helping to restore, all that was taken away.
So you're saying I shouldn't be so hard on her about her vote?
My point is this. She was representing New Yorkers, and we just got our teeth kicked in. And so if she's the voice of the people, she should have voted for the war because New Yorkers were like, we need to go in there. Now, granted, after the fact, we were told that the reasons for going into the war were...
Problem and the good thing about her, she's not a leader, she's a follower. So, right, she followed what she thought. New Yorkers were all like, we need war, let's go to war.
And we were told who was the enemy.
It's the reason why you don't let the family members of the murder victim sit on the jury. Right. She can't think clearly. Right?
Right.
Even though on some level it would seem righteous and just that the family members of the victim should decide the fate of the killer. But we don't allow that for a good reason. Because we want to be civilized.
Right.
And she did something awful. She knows that she did. She said so. I'd like to see her apologize to the parents of the 4,400 servicemen and women who died in that war.
And the innocent Iraqis that died as well.
Well, hundreds of thousands
Right.
of Iraqis.
Right.
Yes.
You and I share that Catholic guilt. And
Yeah, well, I do, but I feel that way. I do.
And
It's
it's
interesting
sincere.
you put it that way. It's Catholic guilt. I do feel that
Human.
if you believe in the hereafter, if you believe in heaven, if you believe there are the pearly gates where you're going to be asked a few questions before you come in, you're going to be asked whether or not you can say, well, I didn't support the war. Well, did you pay your taxes? Yes, of course I did. Well, then you helped to fund it.
Right.
What's your answer to that?
And as a postal worker, I just want to say, when can we make you president? Because I'm ready to start delivering.
He's ready to deliver the weed every Friday. I swear I could get elected on that. That and the charge cord. One charge cord. Big government, 100 years ago told us that every electrical appliance, and they didn't even know what the appliances would be. There were no refrigerators or washing machines or computers or TVs. But they said it will have a cord with 2 prongs, this far apart, and there will be 2 holes in the wall, this far apart. And they dictated that, and it's that way to this day. They weren't going to allow every appliance maker to set their own code for what the cord of the prongs would be. Or somebody say, you know, I'm not, just because everybody on this block has got the 2 holes that many centimeters apart, I'm going to make my holes that big apart. Because otherwise it's communism. You know? No, I'm sorry, dude. You're going to have the same 2 fucking holes everybody else has. That's what big government did us a big favor, didn't they? And it exists to this day even for things they didn't know would be invented. The fact that we allow this court thing,
Regulation.
the $49 that you're constantly having to pay, it's freaking insane. I could get elected on this. Yes, sir. Wait a minute. Yes.
First of all, thank you, not just for this, but
There's
for
your
your body of work. The right might call you a gadfly, I call you a hero. I want you to talk a little bit about unionism and how the decline of our economy in this country is directly related to the decline of unions and the labor movement, and how the United States used to have the biggest middle class, the most, and now it's not. Canada has more middle class. They have 33% of their people attached to the unions. The United States is now 10%. So my question is, why did America give up on unionism? Why aren't we producing the Walter Reuther's, the John Lewis's anymore? What happened to America?
Well, it'll come back, you know. But what happened was that Reagan fired the air traffic controllers, and the other unions crossed the picket line. Every other union should have shut down the country when he did that, but they didn't. There was no solidarity amongst the unions, and that was the beginning of the end, right there with that one act of it. Ronald Reagan in his first year. That's my view of it. Yes, sir.
Do you feel that, how do you feel about Bernie's effort now that Hillary's been out? I joined you, I was a Bernie fan, love him.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
I think he's been doing great. I think he's going to help with this revolution we're going to need once she's in there, because we both have to support her on the good things that she's going to do and challenge her on the things that she's not doing. So November 9th is a very important day, the day after that she wins. I think it's very, very important. And every Bernie person should feel huge, huge props. 22 states, nearly half the country voted for a socialist. Unbelievable. Come on. Man. And young people should take a bow. You know, you hold a lot of power if you're in the 18 to 35-year-old, because you're going to decide this election. They already know how African Americans are going to vote. They already know how Hispanics are going to vote. They already know how women are going to vote. They don't know how many young people are going to show up, and that'll tip the balance. So what I say to young people, not like I said there, I don't want to wag my finger at them, because that didn't work for us when our parents wagged the finger at us. But I want to tell them positively, they hold a tremendous amount of power in their hands, and they are the most powerful group of Americans for the next 11 days. If I had that kind of power, I would use it. I would make sure my voice was heard, and I would let them know, you want my vote? You want me to come out, put my Xbox down, come out and vote that day? Okay, well, I need to hear something else. So that's what I would do. We got time for 2 more. Yes, in the front row.
Do you know how you're spending election night?
How am I going to spend election night? Well, I'll either be back home in Michigan, and we'll have a lot of security. A lot of those guns are in Michigan. If I'm in New York, I don't know. Let's just say my invitation to the campaign celebration hasn't arrived yet. I haven't heard from anybody in the Clinton campaign, nor do I expect to, nor do I want to, because I like being an outlier. I don't want to be part of the machine. And she can't endorse this anyways, because I admit that she killed Vince Foster. So how could she tell people to go see this? Who's got the last question? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for coming.
You and you.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, I was going to say, for my millennial, I have a 19-year-old. I'm paying him $100. I've already completed his book, knowledge so he will know who he's voting on. That's my thing.
That's one way to do it. That is one way to do it. By any means necessary. Okay, last question. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm also from Michigan. I'm a filmmaker.
You speak up so they can hear you.
Oh, yeah. I'm from Michigan, and I'm a filmmaker, and I just want to ask you, like, this morning I was looking at Huffington Post, I think, and it said something about your last film about the political race, which was, Fahrenheit 9/11. It didn't change voters for the second, I believe it was the second term. The movie itself didn't help sway votes. And, as a filmmaker, I wonder what makes you keep going even when, so that would make me feel, you know what I mean? Like, how could you keep going and do something to affect change? When people
Right.
are
Did you
saying-
hear what she said?
Sure.
No.
Yeah, she was saying about Huffington Post today said Fahrenheit 9/11 didn't change anything because Bush won the second term. Well, first of all, I never read that stuff. I don't read anything about me. So I keep my head clear of that nonsense. I know the truth. I know the impact I've had. And I know that movie came out in the summer of '04. It probably didn't have enough time before the election. But Bush was done. Once I made that film, and once people saw it, he was cooked. And 24 months later, the American public threw the Republicans out of the House and the Senate and took over. Remember, we're a nation of slow learners. It took people a little bit longer to figure it out. But once they had what I did, and then others, once I stuck my neck out, others joined in and did their thing, and it collectively had an impact. But sometimes it takes a while. But I would never judge it just on one election. And teachers show my movies to all their students every day, in every school. I mean, my stuff is being shown, so I'm very lucky, for that. So I've seen the impact it has. And look, you came out here on a Friday night. You could have gone to see Jack Reacher.
Oh, man.
I mean, you came to see a documentary you knew nothing about.
I know.
That didn't have a poster or a trailer or a single ad on TV or in the paper. And you'll tell people about it. You'll tell people they can get it on iTunes. Today, Amazon said they wanted it, so now we gave it to Amazon. So it's $4 on Amazon. So more and more people are going to see this in the next 11 days. You can tell people about it. The Laemmles have it at 4 of their theaters here, even though they're not the ArcLight. I'm very grateful to the Laemmles that they were willing to take a risk on something. What's his name? Greg Laemmle?
Yeah.
He hadn't even seen the movie. They booked it without seeing it. They just trusted. For a lot of these art houses, I still hold the record, the Fahrenheit 9/11, their box office record. The Lincoln Plaza on Broadway in New York City, it's still their #1 all-time grossing film. You ask any of these theaters like this, it's either me or Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon, or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or one of the dragons are doing something to something. But really, no. So I know the impact it's had, and I'm grateful for the audience, and I'm grateful to the theaters. And I got up at 5 o'clock this morning in New York to fly here. What is it? Oh my God, it's 3 a.m. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming out. And tell people to see it. I appreciate you. Go to Nevada and do some work door to door. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight.